Recently, I became a Sprout in Final Fantasy XIV. You know, the critically acclaimed MMORPG with a free trial. Yeah, that's right. I started playing the game for the very first time in early 2024. In fact, I actually made it through 50% of the MSQ for the base game. If you want to be more precise, I actually made it 50.16% of the way through so far. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Whoa. Hold your applause, ladies and gentlemen. I know this might be a big thing for a lot of people, because let's be honest, a lot of people stop playing Final Fantasy XIV because of the base main story that you have to get through before you can enter all the goodies and the fun stuff that exists within the expansion. I kind of feel like I'm left in the corner, like everyone's hanging out at the Salty Splatoon while I'm here in Weenie Hut Jr. So today, I'm going to tell you guys currently my experience with playing Final Fantasy XIV, the things that I really like about the game so far, and the things that don't really make sense. I want to end this video off on a high note, so I'm gonna start off with the things that I actually dislike about Final Fantasy XIV. I think we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. No, not that elephant. I'm talking about the base game story of A Realm Reborn. A lot of people probably know this, but if you don't know, when Final Fantasy XIV, the 2.0 version, A Realm Reborn, came out, they were also adding updates into the 1.0 version. You know, the one that failed. In fact, this whole documentary on YouTube does a way better job at explaining it. But anyways, the base game, or at least the story of A Realm Reborn, it's not so good, in my opinion. Of course, you're able to explore the world and see a bunch of different places, and that's actually kind of cool, meeting all the different characters living in different towns and villages, and of course, exploring all the different maps that they have within the game. There's a bunch of mobs that you can fight. Like, the exploration of the game is quite good, even though the graphics are kind of like PlayStation 3 era, but regardless, the exploration of the game that the story kind of forces you alongside with, that's the fun part. The thing that isn't fun is the amount of dialogue and kind of bland questing. There's this one part in the MSQ where it takes you to this guy, and he has some valuable information about the Titans that are essentially like world-ending threats to the world of Eorzea. Eorzea? I still can't say that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Anywho, you're talking to this guy, and he's like, well, before I tell you the really important information, you gotta set up all the ingredients and all the different foods that I need for a feast. So here you are running back and forth to all these different people to get him things like a McDonald's Happy Meal. He wants some stinky cheese as well. And of course, you can't forget about the wine. And after all of that is done, then the feast can begin where you can hopefully get this information. And there's a lot of just like bland questing in the game like that kind of puts you off like, wait a second, everyone's saying the story of Final Fantasy is so good, but like, why do I have to go get some stinky cheese for some guy? Like, that's exciting? This is really what makes everyone super stoked about this video game? I think what would be a great fix for this is allowing players to actually start any expansion that they want to. Now, hold on a second. I'm not saying that I want to skip the story. I would not skip the story. You won't catch me buying a skip. I'm going to play through all the story as the developers intended it to be. However, the base game itself is, at least so far, 50% of the way through, 50.16% of the way through. Yeah, that's right. My Twitch chat helped me out with this one. But my experience with the base story so far is, quite frankly, kind of boring. This one guy commented on my video. He said, the base story is kind of like watching paint dry. And there are some exciting moments, don't get me wrong. Like, there are some really cool characters that you meet in the base story. But so far, 50% of the way through, there is a lot of things that kind of make you go, what? And that's the sad thing, because all these players are forced to play through this. Like, if you want to make it to where all your friends are hanging out in Shadowbringers or Heavensward, or even in June when Dawntrail launches, you have to play through everything all the way through. And that's not a bad thing. Of course, when Dawntrail comes out, there will be all these characters that maybe I don't know about, so it's a good thing that I play through the base story. I got you. But I think locking away maps and content that I can't explore until I play through all the story, it's kind of a bummer. I wish it would be more like Guild Wars 2 or World of Warcraft. See, in those games, you can make a character, level them up to whatever level you want to in any type of zone, and then you can explore any type of expansion that you want to. So for instance, if I make a character and I go, okay, I want to explore the Mist of Pandaria, or you know what, I'm thinking about checking out all these different places in Wrath of the Lich King. You can do that. And the same thing for Guild Wars 2. But Final Fantasy is like, hold on a second. You got to play through all of this before you can get to all this other stuff. And a lot of people talk so highly about the expansions. That's like kind of the salt in the wound. People are like, yeah, you know, A Realm Reborn is kind of rough, but once you make it through, Heaven's Sword is gonna be amazing. Shadowbringers is so good. And I'm so hyped for Dawntrail, I can't wait. But I'm now coming to terms with, maybe I won't be able to explore Dawntrail with everyone else in June. There's a lot of content I gotta play through. Of course, I'm taking my time with it. I'm reading through all the story. People really hype up the story. So, you know, I want to make sure I read everything and know what's going on. But sometimes I'm thinking, there's a lot of dialogue I should just be skipping, maybe? I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me in the comment section down below, but the story, at least with Final Fantasy XIV, the base game so far, 50% of the way through, it's kind of a snooze fest for a majority of it. Like, there's a lot of dialogue to get through. I read books, you know, I like to read, it's no problem. I'm more than happy to like voice these characters if there's no voice lines within the game. But there are some moments where I'm questing and I won't get into a battle or start using my skills until 45 minutes or even an hour later. And that's crazy! Like, there's that much dialogue in some moments within the game. There's this one part where you have to go to these 3 different, like, races or factions, and they all give a speech, like, it's all voiced, which is awesome. But I'm like, oh my goodness, can we not have, like, sectioned this off? Like, sprinkle in a dungeon here and there? And that brings me over to the dungeons for Final Fantasy XIV. Those are some of the best things that I get to experience. Sure, the dungeons are kind of easy, and that's not a bad thing, but I love the different environments. Like, for example, not all the dungeons are underground. There's some that exist, like, within forests or different kind of houses or different structures within the game. And I really like that about dungeons. The developers really play around with where a dungeon can exist. It doesn't always have to be some deep dark cave that you explore. But when you're not doing dungeons, a lot of the questing is very classic MMORPG vibes. Like, for example, you know, go kill 5 of these things, or please go deliver this item to this guy in this other town kind of thing. Oh, but he has a problem and you got to do something for him before you can actually get whatever you want from this guy, and then you backtrack over to that one person that you were talking to originally. And that's not bad. Like, I knew this going into playing the game, but there are some moments where I'm like, dang, I need a break from it. And this is how I advise as a new player how you can get through MSQ without kind of burning yourself out. See, there's a lot of different things that you can do in the game. For example, there's these like duties that are essentially just like world events. These are great things to jump into, and it kind of breaks the cycle of questing and running back and forth kind of thing. So I always recommend doing these kind of open world events. Of course, don't jump into them by yourself. Sometimes you do need to socialize with other players. And that brings me to the next point. Taking time to socialize and be around other players. It's really cool that as a streamer, I have some people in my stream who are always there to accompany me as I quest in Final Fantasy, at least when I go live. And it's really funny because they hop on these weird mounts, or they have these cool looking glamour or outfits that their characters are wearing, and that's cool to react to and actually see the different things in the game. It gets me excited to push through the MSQ. You know, maybe if I get through all the way, there'll be some great weird mounts that I can ride. Like, for example, one of the characters, he's a Lalafell, he's on this like weird motorcycle thing. The Lalafell can't even reach the steering. He's just like hanging onto it. And I think things like this they're so funny within the video game. And this is something that I really actually like about Final Fantasy, the goofiness about it. There was another moment that I had within Final Fantasy XIV that was hilarious. I ran into a bunch of Lalafells that were dressed up essentially like mafia members. So I walked up to them, I said, hey guys, you know, how's it going? They traded me an outfit. I asked if I could join their mafia. And so we were walking around the city trying to find some guy who, I don't know, it was some made up story, but it was really funny to just like interact with people within the game and have these certain experiences. This is why I love MMORPGs. I love being able to play combat against other monsters with other players, and I love to be able to have these social elements that they wouldn't exist within single-player games. Lastly, if you're looking for another distraction from the main story quest, I highly advise you check out the Golden Saucer. Now, I haven't done a lot of things within the Golden Saucer, but I did do something really fun. I did a jumping puzzle there, and it was a blast actually, because there was a lot of other players there, not just within my stream, who was doing the puzzle at the same time. And it was always fun to see people jump off or not be able to make certain jumps. Like, that's always fun to do a platforming kind of segment within a video game. And there's a bunch of other things you can do in the Golden Saucer that I'll eventually get over to, but that, of course, you could probably spend days or maybe weeks just doing Golden Saucer activities within Final Fantasy. Aside from the MSQ, you do have these other quests that you can do. Like if you want to unlock glamour or dyes within the game, there's like these side quests, I would say. Or if you want to do your job quests to kind of level up your job class, there's new ones every 5 levels or 10 levels or something like that. The job quests are actually really cool story-wise, at least for me as a black mage. You know, the best class in the game. Literally like okay, I know people don't like black mage, but still, I'm having a great time doing the job quest for a black mage. The final distraction from the MSQ that I recommend is fishing. And let me tell you, fishing is very chill, you're vibing. It's like kind of a vibe like RuneScape when you're skilling. And it's really fun to do in a group. So for example, when I was streaming one day, I was like, okay guys, we're gonna unlock fishing. Now here I am, I'm fishing. We got a whole crew together. So I'm gonna step away from the MSQ and I'm gonna talk about other things that kind of don't make sense for me in Final Fantasy, and there's just one big one. Chat dialogue. Like when I talk to someone within the video game, why is there not text above the person's head when they're talking back to me? I have to look at this other chat box to see if people are talking to me, and for the most part, I'm missing the dialogue if someone speaks to me. Now I know there's ways you can, you know, add chat boxes in the game that I'm not going to talk about. But regardless, I think it's a very important thing to add within the video game. Aside from those 2 points of chat boxes and, you know, kind of the boring parts of the MSQ, Final Fantasy XIV is a lot of fun. For the most part, the combat is actually very enjoyable. And because the game is very slow in pace to level you up and get you new skills, you have so much time to kind of master all the different skills that land in your skill bar as you level up. And this is something that I normally don't get to do in other MMORPGs because they just dump a bunch of skills on your skill bar. No, for Final Fantasy XIV, you know, it's a kind of a chill environment. You're having a good time with it. So of course the combat itself, you have time to kind of read everything and get to know your class very well. Everyone says that Black Mage is like calculus and it's very hard. Maybe it is when I hit level 90, but as a level 40 right now, I am chillin' with Black Mage. I'm having a great time with it so far. I do love the silliness and quirkiness of Final Fantasy XIV. Like some of the quest dialogue is hilarious, but outside of that, like the outfits, the mounts within the game, how you dye your armor, what kind of expressions or emotes that you're using. Like you can purchase something where you can just like go back and lean on a wall. And like that is awesome for a video game if you just want to AFK. And that's what makes Final Fantasy XIV really fun and entertaining. I catch myself laughing at a lot of different things that I find within the video game, from characters looking really interesting, or even like the adventurer plate, like being able to customize this, like have a photo, have a quote, tell when you're playing the game. Like that is so cool. I think every MMORPG should have something equivalent to the adventure play. Lastly, I have to give another shout out to the games community. And I'm not just talking about the people who watch me on Twitch and join me as I play the game. I've played the game off stream and have talked to people and asked them questions as a new person. They can see my Sprout icon so they know that I'm a new player, which also helps, but people are super friendly. And of course, they'll kind of answer any questions, and you'll see random silliness happening within the game, like Mafia Lalafels or a band concert happening with a bunch of players. It's just so cool as to what you can see a bunch of players doing within the video game. And that brings me over to what FF14 is, or how you should look at it. It's more so of an RPG first, because the main focus is about the story. This is what the developers want you to play all the way through. You can't just jump into content unless you want to pay some extra cheddar. Yeah, it is what it is. You got to play through the story, and that's something that can be fun, actually. There's a lot of fun moments in the base game that are exciting. The rest of it is kind of a snooze fest, but everyone says that the expansions are really cool story-wise. And the second hand of things is the MMO side of it, where you can socialize with players, where there are certain things that you can do as a group, like dungeons and duties and stuff like that. I did make one mistake, though, that I think hopefully Square Enix can consider in the future. See, everyone talks about how with Final Fantasy XIV, you can jump into it, you don't have to pay any money, you have a free trial all the way through the base game. But there's a lot of really annoying restrictions, like you can't whisper players or even trade them. It's an MMO. Like if my friend drags me into the game and he goes, hey, I'm gonna trade you this outfit so you can wear it around, why can't we do that? I know they probably have these measures in the game to go around people botting or people getting annoying whispers from gold sellers or something like that. I get that. But me as an MMO player, if I'm gonna play the game, I wanna be able to socialize. I wanna be able to trade people things. So I bought the game. Yeah, that's right. I bought the game. And I know a lot of people right now who play Final Fantasy XIV, you're like, why did he do that? And I thought, okay, I could buy the game, no problem, still play it all the way through the base story with the trial, and everything will be good. No, when you buy the game, that's when you have to start paying for a subscription. Your trial ends right there when you purchase this video game. And that means that you gotta start paying every single month. So I did what any normal person would do. I contact Square Enix support. I said, hey, I didn't know the trial would end. Is there any way that you can help me out? They said, get lost, buddy. Time for you to start paying every now and then. Okay, they didn't say it like that, but they essentially said they can't do anything, and it is what it is. Other than that, though, I'm having a great time with Final Fantasy XIV. I hope to make it through A Realm Reborn. I do stream the game. Would love to see you guys there. And let me know in the comment section down below when you started playing this game. Was it easy for you to play through the MSQ? Do you have any tips for me as a new player or anyone else who's looking to play the game? And how we can enjoy it more? Please let me know. I read every single comment. Special thanks to the Patreon supporters. Appreciate you guys. And thanks so much for watching, everyone. As always, stay hydrated, gamers.